So now, Joseph Rutherford now takes control of the Watchtower and Bible and Tract Society. What we're now going to do is have a look at some of his teachings and see some of the things that he taught throughout the Watchtower. Now, throughout his life, Joseph Rutherford taught a lot of things throughout the Watchtower. We're going to concentrate on 4 that were quite controversial at that particular time. He had a real problem with aluminium. He had issues with people having vaccinations. He was racially prejudiced, and he set more dates concerning Armageddon. And we're going to go through all these points one by one. So what did Joseph Rutherford have a problem with concerning aluminium? Well, this is what he wrote in the Golden Age article of November the 12th, 1929. Now, the Golden Age magazine is now called The Awake, which accompanies the Watchtower. This is what he wrote. He said, "If the organs of your body are diseased, heal them by correcting your diet. Avoid the use of aluminium cooking utensils and alum baking powders, as they are injurious to your health, poisoning your bloodstream. Sleep on the right side or flat on your back with the head toward the north so as to get benefit of the Earth's magnetic currents. Avoid serum inoculations, as they pollute the bloodstream with their filthy pus. Stop chewing gum, as you need the saliva for your food." Now, as if you need any more convincing that Joseph Rutherford had a problem with aluminium, just take a look at what was printed in the same Golden Age article. This was a picture that was in the same magazine. As you can see, Joseph Rutherford was quite graphic in terms of what he believed in. So why did Joseph Rutherford have such a problem with aluminium? The honest answer is, I have no idea. No one really knows why it was that Joseph Rutherford had a problem with this. But the point is, he'd put it in the Golden Age magazine, and people actually started to follow along with this. Now, perhaps with the use of aluminium, it wouldn't necessarily cause harm. But we're going to go on to see now about what problem he had with vaccinations and the effect that had on people back then. So what did Judge Rutherford have against vaccinations? Well, this is what he wrote in the Golden Age magazine, May the 1st, 1929. He said, "Thinking people would rather have smallpox than vaccination, because the latter sows the seed of syphilis, cancers, ischemia, erysipelas, scrophula, consumption, even leprosy, and many other loathsome infections. Hence, the practice of a vaccination is a crime, and an outrage, and a delusion." And again, he used these graphic images, I can only describe them as demonic images, to really put his point across as to how bad he felt the vaccinations were, and that anybody that used them was essentially making a sin against God. Now again, you may ask the question, why did Judge Rutherford have such a problem with vaccinations? Well, the honest answer is, again, I don't know. No one really knows why he had such a hatred for them. But what we do know is the fact that people used to read the Golden Age magazine and think that it came directly from God. And as a result, they caught really bad diseases and died. Jehovah's Witnesses nowadays do believe that it's okay to have a vaccination. But of course back then, they believed that what was being written was indeed from God, and therefore they shouldn't have vaccinations. And this was something else that Judge Rutherford promoted in the Golden Age magazine. This was a quote taken from the July the 24th edition back in 1929. And this is what he wrote. He said, "Is there anything in the Bible that reveals the origin of the Negro? It is generally believed that the curse which Noah pronounced upon Canaan was the origin of the black race. Certain it is that when Noah said, 'Cursed be Canaan,' a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. He pictured the future of the coloured race. They have been and are a race of servants. There is no servant in the world as good as a good coloured servant, and the joy that he gets from rendering faithful service is one of the purest joys there is in the world. Now at this point I just want to pause and really apologise for anybody who was offended by that last quotation. I again have real problem trying to understand whether or not this man really was talking as a spokesman of God. We have to really ask ourselves that question. And finally, Judge Rutherford again, like Charles Taze Russell, sets more dates concerning Armageddon. He first predicted it in 1918, it didn't come true, and then again in 1920, and it failed. And this is what he wrote in a Watchtower of 1923. He said, "We have more reason to believe the kingdom will be established in 1925 than Noah did to believe that there would be a flood." Now, in all honesty, I could spend another good half an hour explaining a bit more about Judge Rutherford and the kind of things that he used to preach. There were other things concerning his lifestyle and that sort of thing as well, which again we won't go into. But essentially, after Judge Rutherford died, we then have two more presidents. Now in part 4 of this presentation, we're going to go on to see these two presidents in more detail. Nathan Knorr reigned as the president until 1977, and then you have Fred Franz, who reigned until the year 2000. So like I say, in part 4 we're going to learn a little bit more about their teachings, the changes that then went on within the Watchtower, the more prophecies that they had concerning the dates of Armageddon, and indeed whether or not these prophecies started coming true.